let's clear this up. Before the reporter even asked a question, the reporter stated a fact that they were 10 points behind. Before he even, which was factual, which Klopp got wrong, by the way, whilst he was being condescending to the reporter about prepping his job. So before the reporter had even asked a question, he stated fact. Klopp proceeded then to treat this individual like he was a piece of dirt on the sole of his shoe, before he even asked a question. So, you know, he was off and running at the races, going down the wrong direction before a question was even asked. And I think it's a relevant question to ask. You know, you're now 10 points behind they've got a game in hand. Is it over? And it's a simple question, because you can say, well, we're never going to give up and we'll fight to the end. Or you can say, well, City are too good, we're probably not going to catch them, but we will give it our all, even with the injuries. That's Daniel, not difficult. But he had it in his mind. Let's look at the tape. Let's look at a tail of the tape here. Broadcasters at fault for scheduling games. Premier League at fault for scheduling games. Substitutes was an issue because he wanted 5. Had an issue with Chris Wilder and others because they wanted a different direction. The stupid comment with COVID leading up to this Man City game, which Guardiola himself and anybody who could check the stats, even I could do that, as you know, last week and see it was nonsense. All these things have culminated in a manager who has built up his legacy so high in the last couple of years. Not his team. He himself is doing his very best to completely smash the boxes away from underneath his feet. Not his team. People can accept his team's performance, apart from a couple of people that go on phone-ins in the UK and say Jurgen Klopp should be sacked. These idiots should not get airtime. But Jurgen Klopp himself is doing more than any of his team's performances to demean his job at Liverpool in his last couple of years by showing himself to be a sorry loser in these circumstances.
Go on, Shaq.
The thing for me is, this is not about the question or the validity of the question. It's about Jurgen Klopp's reaction.
Yes.
And we've seen Jurgen Klopp over the last 4 or 5 years, since his arrival in English football, up front and centre. We know about Jurgen Klopp, and we've seen him in the Bundesliga and how he handles the media. This is such a departure from the Jurgen Klopp we've known going way back to his Dortmund days. This is such a departure from everything we've seen over the last couple of seasons while involved with Liverpool. And that, for me, is the most telling thing. There have been numerous complaints from fans of other clubs, from other managers, that the media are too softly with Jurgen Klopp and give him an easy ride and don't hold him to task, especially immediately after he took over the job from Brendan Rodgers, and Liverpool finished, 8th, and then a couple of 4th place finishes. But the accusation then was the media are giving Jurgen Klopp an easy ride. And he's delivered on those promises. Now, all of a sudden, on the back of what seems like a slightly disappointing season, they may still finish 4th, but they're not going to win the league. That maybe constitutes disappointment. You're seeing a side of Jurgen Klopp that nobody recognizes, nobody anticipates. And that, for me, is the most troubling aspect to this all.
Go on, Frank.
I agree with the guys in the fact that for a while now, Klopp has a bad communication and is wrong all the way along. But again, when Shaka would say the question, it's not a matter of the question. Yeah, it is. Because as soon as the guy starts, with the statistic, with the points and everything, they say you have 10 points, and he starts, yelling at him because he knows the question and the way the guy is going to ask the question. The thing is, if the journalists say, "Okay, Mr. Klopp, what is your goal for the rest of..." No, hold on a second. Let me finish.
Okay.
If the journalist says, "What is your goal for the rest of the season? What are your goals for the rest of the season?" That's a simple question. And there is no meaning of kind of teasing also Jurgen Klopp. Because when you put the points ahead and in front of his face, and when you ask the question, you know that you're going to get him.
Good.
You know that he's going to react badly.
That's what you want. Listen. There's no doubt this is 100. No. There's no doubt. Sorry, Shaq. There's no doubt this is 100% on Jurgen Klopp here, right? No doubt. And I don't feel sorry for reporters in general because it's, you know, you've got to do a job and sometimes you got people bite back. That's fine. This was just talking to somebody as if they shouldn't even been within a mile of the ground, right? It's condescending. Let's look at the bigger story here, right, and why this might be coming along and what might be pushing it. We know they've had the issue in the centre-back position. We know they've brought two younger less experienced players in. We know Klopp wanted a centre-back, but here's the deal, and he maybe felt let down by the owners.
Yeah.
Right. But here's the deal. There's a pandemic that has altered budgets, right? Liverpool have a choice to make. Do we go out, splash on more centre-halves, big money centre-halves, when next year we're going to have Matip and Gomez and Van Dijk back, right? Can we afford to do that? Or is he going to have to work with what he's got in the meantime? Now, he might be frustrated with that, but that's the scenario that they're in. It's a bit like, and it's not quite the same scenario, is Guardiola going to his bones and throwing he's rattling all his toys out the pram, saying, get me a striker. Aguero's been out, get me a... No, you're going to have to deal with it. And I know the problems at Liverpool have been greater, but he has not dealt with the scenarios well enough. And I think that's pushed him over the edge. That's not an excuse, because I think his interview at the weekend was awful. And I think it looked absolutely awful on him. And quite frankly, I think he should apologise. Maybe he has to the individual. But I think he needs to take a good look at how he talks to certain members of the media when things go against him. Because he doesn't come over well. I'm telling you that.
You've got to be nice to us reporters.
You're not a reporter. I don't know what you are.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.